All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are breaking down the high-stakes game of selling your home in the Los Angeles market. And let me tell you, it's about way more than just sticking a for sale sign in the yard. It's all about having a solid strategy so you can walk away with the most money in your pocket.
So you're thinking about it, huh? Selling your home in Los Angeles? This is a massive financial move, and our goal here is to give you a really clear, strategic roadmap to get through it all and, most importantly, maximize your profit.
You know, the very first thing every seller has to get their head around is this right here. There's the big, flashy number on the contract. That's the one that gets all the attention. But then there's the number that actually matters, what you get to keep after everybody else gets their slice. And trust me, the gap between those two can be pretty shocking.
And that leads us right into our first section, how to protect your profit. We're going to tackle the biggest things that chip away at your bottom line. We're talking taxes, deductions, and all the different costs that come with selling.
Okay, let's start with your absolute best friend in this entire process, the primary residence exclusion. This isn't some tricky loophole. It's a huge tax benefit made specifically for homeowners, designed to protect your hard-earned equity.
For a single person who's owned and lived in the house for at least 2 of the last 5 years, you get to exclude up to $250,000 in profit from capital gains tax. Just gone. That's an enormous potential saving.
And get this, if you're married and you file your taxes together, that number doubles to $500,000. For a lot of sellers in LA, this one exclusion can literally mean paying zero capital gains tax. Figuring out if you qualify is absolutely step number one.
So how do you even figure out what your gain is? Well, it's a surprisingly simple formula. You start with the sale price, and then you just start subtracting things. First, all the costs of selling, then what you paid for the house in the first place, and finally, what you spent on any major upgrades. Whatever's left over, that's what the government can tax. Now, this is a really critical point. Capital improvements, we're talking big projects like a brand new roof, a full kitchen remodel, things that add real value, those directly lower your taxable profit. But routine repairs, painting a bedroom or fixing a leaky faucet, those don't count. And this is exactly why keeping good records of all those big-ticket projects is so important.
And beyond those big improvements, a whole bunch of other selling costs also help shrink that taxable gain. Things like agent commissions, your escrow fees, transfer taxes, and even what you pay for professional staging. All of that gets subtracted, which means less profit for the government to tax.
Now, for those selling higher-priced homes, you have to be really aware of the local mansion taxes. As you can see, in the city of Los Angeles itself, Measure ULA, that's the United to House LA measure, kicks in with a pretty hefty tax on sales over $4 million. Over in Santa Monica, a similar tax applies to sales over $8 million. These are serious costs you absolutely have to factor into your net profit calculation.
Okay, so once you've got a handle on the money side of things, the next piece of the puzzle is mastering the market. Because it's not just about what you sell, it's about when you sell.
Yeah, the data on this is pretty clear. The sweet spot, that one perfect week to list your home to get the highest price and sell the fastest, has historically been mid-April. And why then? Well, it's like a perfect storm of peak buyer interest, fantastic weather for showing off the house, and families trying to get a deal done before the new school year.
But hold on, before you go circling April on your calendar, you have to remember this. The market's timing is less important than your personal timeline. The first thing you have to do is get crystal clear on your own goals. Why are you selling? Do you need to move fast? Getting answers to those questions, along with a realistic price for your home, is the foundation for your whole strategy.
Next up, let's talk about the hurdles you're going to face during the actual sale. This part is all about the paperwork and the potential pitfalls, from legal disclosures to dealing with appraisals and, yes, tenants.
In California, the law is very clear. As a seller, you have a legal duty to disclose everything you know about the property's condition. That means filling out key documents like the transfer disclosure statement and the natural hazard disclosure. Being totally thorough and honest here isn't just a good idea. It's what protects you from getting sued later on. This is the question that keeps a lot of sellers up at night. You've agreed on a great price, you're moving forward, and then the bank's appraiser comes back with a lower number. Does the whole deal just fall apart? Not necessarily. As you can see here, you have options. An appraisal gap is a moment for negotiation, not a total deal breaker. You can try to renegotiate the price, the buyer can bring more cash to the deal to cover the difference, or you can even formally challenge the appraisal if you have solid data showing it was too low. Now, for any landlords in LA, this is a huge one.
The research is incredibly clear on this. Selling a property with tenants still living in it almost always means you're leaving money on the table. Your pool of potential buyers shrinks down to mostly just investors, and you often end up selling at a discount. Understanding tenant rights and your options is absolutely critical before you even think about listing.
This brings us to our final section, and it's all about maybe the biggest strategic choice you'll make. How are you actually going to sell this property? Are you going to hire a pro, or are you going to try to do it all yourself?
It's the classic question, right? Can I save a bunch of money on commission by selling it myself? Going for sale by owner? It seems like such an easy way to boost your profit, but the data tells a very, very different story.
Yeah, the numbers are pretty stark. National studies consistently show that homes sold by their owners sell for significantly less. We're talking 15 to 30% less than homes sold with a professional agent. That price gap is almost always way bigger than any commission you might have saved.
So why the huge gap? Well, it really comes down to professional pricing strategy, much broader marketing to get more buyers in the door, and expert negotiation. This quote from the source material really nails it. That potential 2 or 3% you might save on commission can easily be wiped out by a 15% lower sale price.
So let's wrap this all up. At the end of the day, selling a home in a complicated market like Los Angeles isn't just one single event. A truly successful, profitable sale is the direct result of a smart strategy, perfect timing, and expert execution from the very beginning to the very end. We've covered the taxes, the timing, the pitfalls, and the pros. You're now armed with the core strategic framework for selling your home in LA. So the only question left is, what's your next move?